Waiting. Okay, we're live. Yay. Welcome to November. How the heck did we get here, right? I cannot believe it's November. 2 months left till the end of the year. How are we going to end this year? And there's so much energetic activity that's happening. So I am excited to dive in. I'm excited to connect with you. And these reports are really just to get clear about the energy that's going to be on the planet, some themes to work with, just kind of what to look out for and how to align with your highest self during this process as the month unfolds. So without further ado, say hi if you're joining me live. I'm excited to see who's on here. And of course I can't see, but I don't know why my Facebook Live has not been working that well, but I'm going to tune in from here so I can see who's on. Okay, so say hi in the comments. And I'm going to just I pull a card for every single week. And I'm going to pull the first card for November and just see. And this is my birthday month, so I especially love November. And who doesn't love turkey and Thanksgiving and all the stuff and all the opportunities to be grateful for everything that's happening in our lives. So how is October for you? I just want you to take a moment while I'm getting ready to pull these cards and think about how that month progressed for you. It felt like it was a big month energetically. I think there was a lot happening. I think there was still a lot of release that was occurring. If you watched last month, it was all about relationships, new love stepping into your life, and hopefully a love of self. Now let's see what the theme is for this month. And I love this. So we got, in this deck it's called Wisdom, but in the traditional tarot, it's the Hierophant. So this card there's so many different meanings to it, but I'm just going to kind of start to tune in and feel how it's going to work for the energy of November. We have been going through a process of learning so much about ourselves this year. We thought 2020 was a doozy, but really this is the year that we're kind of like, I feel like 2020 was so catalytic, and then this year it's like we're trying to kind of find our voices, step into our power, integrate all these changes that we've had. So many people who've been through like massive shifts, and this month feels like there's still going to be a lot of transformation. We are in the sign of Scorpio, and then we go into Sagittarius on the 22nd. And while we are in the sign of Scorpio, there's such potent medicine for going deep within ourselves and questioning our belief systems. This card, a lot of times, is about the student becoming the teacher becoming the student, right? So in some ways, for some of you, this might be a call to action. It's like it's time to start really showing up in your gifts. It's time to start to let go of the stories that have been hindering you and keeping you from really stepping into your sovereignty and the greatness of your being. For those of you, it might be that you're really wanting to, kind of dive deep and learn some more about yourself, because Scorpio is such a deep sign. I have Scorpio in my astrological profile, and it's all about death and rebirth. So this month, this is a 5 card. 5 is all about change. When things are shifting and changing and evolving, what is the part of ourselves that can't go forward with us? If you have an idea of where you want to head in your life, yet you're still holding on to outdated belief systems from the past, you're going to find that gets really heavy. So there might be some energy that's kind of boiling. I want to say boiling rising to the surface, but like it feels like a heat, right? It's like that boiling water. It's hot waters, and it's this feeling of things coming up to the surface that you can't often see, but are ready to be revealed to you so that you can move forward. Because if you were following me last month, I was talking about like you can only go as deep with others as you can go with yourself. And this month feels much more like we're going to start to like bring some of our medicine to the world, right? I really see a lot of people taking like big leaps of faith and action to really be more out there. I really feel that. I think a lot of people who have been on a path of doing the work, which to me is just like, you've been on your path of like learning about yourself, figuring yourself out, all that kind of stuff, are really going to be feeling this in a huge way. And think of it as, coming back to this, what are the things that feel so outdated in a sense and so shadowy that when you are reaching for your next level of greatness, it feels like a little bit of like a sabotage energy comes through. So that's what we want to look out for, is really just, thinking about when you're showing up in your life, what are those thoughts that block you or stop you from moving forward? Really aligning to your gifts, willing to, and with Sagittarius, the teacher, the shaman, that's the energy of Sagittarius, the philosopher. Like, what do you still need to learn? Like, what are who are the teachers that you need to pull into your reality? Who are the mentors? Who are the people? Who are the expanders in your life that are going to help you grow and evolve into your next level? So I just want you to keep a really big lookout for that during the month of November, and we'll see how it kind of fits with all the other cards that come up. Because all of this is going to be kind of like a story energetically. And yeah, and so let's just jump into this week. So today's the second, obviously, but it's started yesterday. So let me see. We have a big new moon this week. Oh my God. And Scorpio. Okay. So this is the Solitude card, but it's also the Hermit in the traditional tarot. This is the ending of a cycle. Not this exact card, but I mean, what I'm picking up, I should say, is the ending of a cycle. So in relation to that wisdom card, the Hierophant, there's going to be a certain awareness that comes up for you this week of what needs to be let go. And it's going to be clear. And it might even come in as a surprise, like, oh. And it's something where I really encourage you to take time out for yourself to go within and to listen to in the stillness of your being, like to really listen, because this feels like this could be the image that I'm getting is hilarious. It's like if you're about to jump off like a cliff, into like the deep emotional waters of your life. And I know that sounds scary, but imagine if it was the most exhilarating, exciting thing to know that you're like taking a leap of faith into something that's different. Like, I really feel like this week you're on the precipice of big changes, and that there's this feeling of, if you're willing to take that leap. And I just feel, I don't know why I'm like getting this image of like a huge, like, being up like somewhere high and then jumping into water down below. And when you jump into the water, there might be that feeling of like, oh God, this is cold, but it's like refreshing. But the water represents the emotional body. So I feel like there's an ability this week to really release something that's been there for quite some time. Some content, I always call it content, right? Some emotional content that probably in some way hasn't been allowing you to get to your next level. And it feels a little bit difficult in some ways because when it starts to be revealed to you this week, like what you know, it's like let your external environment show you how and what you need to work on. Like you don't need to go searching for this. All you need to do is make sure that you have time to meditate and go within and be quiet. And this isn't a bad thing, you guys. This isn't a bad thing. Like it's actually already coming up in my awareness for me in my personal life of the places where I still hold myself back emotionally, or I don't want to be as vulnerable in my life because I'm afraid of, what people will think about me, maybe if I'll be judged. And so this is it's a thought process, but it's also a feeling. It's a belief system, right? If I show up in this way, and in this, when I see somebody diving into the water, it's like you're diving into the unknown. So sometimes when we're about to make big radical changes in our life and we're going into the unknown, it's really can be a little scary, right? There's a level of vulnerability that comes with that. And how do you hold yourself when you're stepping into new territory? How do you um, stay grounded when you feel reactivity in your body? And so, however, this shows up for you this week, just know that we have the new moon on Thursday. And there's going to be such a big opportunity to release. And I don't know why, but I feel like there, for some of you, there might be some like cathartic conversations that happen around this. I just am seeing the throat chakra activated, truth being told, things being seen, just revelations coming through. And I would love for you to be moving at a pace this week where you have the ability to catch it all, where it's not just like like kind of going because you're just so busy. um the other feeling I have with this, I don't know why they're showing it to me like this, but I feel like the ground is moving, in the sense, not my ground, but not the ground underneath me, but there's an opportunity for some massive movement. And the other thing I feel like is there's also a feeling of um, separation, and I don't know why I'm feeling this, but it's like this sense of like there's a, I guess it's kind of what's happening in the collective, like this piece is for the collective, like there's like that divide happening, um, for people where, based on belief systems, based on thoughts. And this is your opportunity to question that and to go about things in a new and different way. We don't have to necessarily fall into the trap of separation. That's, they're saying that, seeing the emotional content of your life and how you're reacting to everything around you, it could either bring you closer to people. Like, this is what I want you to think about as a theme this week. You have the opportunity in some way, shape, or form with the people around you to either like show more of who you are, drop more of your armor, your emotional armor, to let down your shield, to get closer to people, to let them really see you, shadows and all, by the way, or to like armor, your emotional armor, to let down your shield, to get closer to people, to let them really see you, shadows and all, by the way, or to like armor up, be like, no, I don't agree with you, or I'm gonna get, we're gonna separate a little bit, like this isn't working. And so, there's like that like energy that's like in the collective really strong right now. And kind of what I'm hearing from spirit, really, and I'm not meaning to go so long on this one, but is that we're being asked to choose differently. Do things differently than you ever have before. Be willing to work with the shadow energy within yourself and within the collective in a new and different way. Be a trailblazer. Like, don't fall prey to what everybody, might be doing around you just because there's fear. There's a lot of fear and darkness. And but in that fear and darkness, there's like, it's like there's almost like a void of energy. And in the void, it's like the womb of creation, right? Or when we're in the womb of creation, there's such an opportunity to birth something new. So don't be afraid of what comes up this week emotionally. Go within, because you have the opportunity to birth something new, but you are going to feel vulnerable. You're going to feel the realness and like maybe like the raw like revelations of what come through, but it's something that is so important to your next level. So I don't know what that's all about, but that's what I'm feeling. That's what's coming through. And so yeah, the new moon Thursday. Set your intentions, make sure that you're releasing and you're letting go and all that fun stuff, and having the willingness. I'm going to be in Maui leading my retreat with Whitney Yarnell, and we are going to do an amazing ceremony where we're going to be releasing not just an aspect. You know how everybody's like, release the part of you that's no longer, working or no. Let's up this game, okay? Let's go big. And really what I want people to do is release the version of them, like the whole version of them that is afraid to step forward into the new, And so it's like there's a part of us that is resistant to growth because we don't know where we're going and it's scary. But it's not just about like it is a belief. We have all these little teeny belief systems, right? But what if you could just say like I'm letting go of every part of me, like that version of me that is still rooted in the past and is still rooted in fear. And I'm choosing to align with my future self. I'm willing to let what needs to die, and let that become the compost, like the fertile soil for my new life. Because we are in eclipse season, and eclipse season means like radical shifts. I'll talk about that in a second, but it literally means we can quantum leap. So for those of you who are like me, who like to go big, buckle up your seatbelt, because let go of the version, not just the part, the past version of you that wants to hold on to like the comfortable, familiar past. And it doesn't mean it all that means, by the way, I don't want to like scare people, but it just means like you're willing to say to the universe, I'm ready to step forward. I'm ready to access this new energy. And have a future vision. If you don't have a future vision of where you're going or what you want to call in, I would highly suggest that at the new moon, when you're releasing and letting go of the parts that need to not die, but become compost for the new growth, write out like what you want to see come to fruition. And for this new moon, what do you want to birth? So that's the energy for that. Okay, so for the 8th, let me tell you what the 8th is. Okay. So we got the balance card, justice card. And this is also the week of the 11/11 portal. So there's a lot of big energy this month in November. So 11/11 portal, we're moving forward. We're moving at a rapid pace for manifestation as well. But this card, I just love this card. So if you are working with the theme of the month, which is, stepping into your gifts, really questioning any beliefs or stories that are holding you back, then this is a card like after we're coming out of the kind of hermit period. And like, doesn't mean, by the way, the hermit is not about being alone. It's about giving yourself time to be within yourself and process. So you can still be around other people. It's just you need that time. So you come out of that and then you come into this. And this is the card of balancing out. This is an 11 card as well. So how beautiful that for 11/11 portal, we have the 11 card, which tells me that in order to sustain all the changes that are going to be happening in November, we really do need to take good care of ourselves. We really do need that balance. I don't know why, but I guess the way it's being shown to me is the veil between the past and the future is going to feel very thin this week of the 8th. It's this sense I'm feeling in my body of you could go back to the way you used to do things or you could step into the new way of doing things. And it might just be micro tweaks for you. It doesn't have to be like some radical, like, oh my God, I'm this new person. When we say we're embracing our future self, that's not what it is. It's just more of about the thought and the feeling behind your future self and embodying that. And so if you're working with this one, for some reason, this one very feels much of the body to me. Like I feel like a lot of energy in the physical body, really taking care of yourself, aligning to new ways of being healthy. This feels like there's a huge influx of light that's going to be coming in on the planet. And within that light and those higher frequencies, how do we take care of ourselves so that we can stay so attuned to what's happening intuitively, while taking action in the physical world? That felt like a big sentence I just said for some reason. But it's really like you might be receiving a lot of information. There might be kind of this feeling of like, wow, I'm really picking up a lot of psychic data, if you will. And it's one thing to be picking up information and feel like you're really tuned in, but what are you going to do with it? Like practically, this feels like a week of balancing the universe with the earth, with your psychic abilities, with practical grounded actions, with seeing things move forward in the real world. For some of you, this might be like the week that you're really deciding to take action in, signing that new contract, getting that new business going, taking that launch, doing something in your business world, within your relationships, making sure that there's great balance there too. So there's just this feeling of, and this is, in the traditional tarot, this is justice. For some people, if you're dealing with legal stuff, there might be some good news coming for you this week. There might be some of that kind of stuff. But to me, this feels like your solar plexus energy in your gut, and it feels like a deep inner resolve and knowing that's coming through for you when you start to trust your own information, when you start to trust your ability to know where you're heading in your life. And I really encourage you this week to take some really practical action towards your dreams. Do that thing this week. Like there's a lot of energy behind it. There's a lot of value to saying yes to the things that you've maybe had kind of like on the back burner and that you've been waiting to like kind of bring into reality. Like start working on those things. Hold yourself accountable this week. There's a lot of energy of, it's one thing to dream and to be like, I want to be my future self and all these kind of things, but this is about like really, how do you embody that? It's like faith in action. And yeah, solar plexus to me is always about deciding, taking the action, committing, moving out of the half-heartedness that you might be feeling up until this point. And this isn't some crazy like energy, like forcing energy. This is just a really nice balanced, like I said, it's the energy from the universe coming down, meeting with the earth energy. So it's like this very much like synergy between heaven and earth in your heart. And one of my clients said something so beautiful today. She said, we were talking about when there's something that you're meant to do, and I'm just going to share this piece. When there's something that you're meant to do in this world, and you're accessing the quantum field. So let's just say you have an idea of like, let's say with my work, for instance, I do this spiritual work, I teach about leadership and embodiment. And when I'm open to it, I can receive from the quantum field this information of what's next for me if I'm open to it. And let's say a bunch of people receive that information, other people that are attuned to the same energy. And the difference is only, let's say 50 people are accessing from the same field of consciousness, right? Because they're like tuned into that same topic. What's really interesting is only a couple will do anything with it. You might get that inspiration of like, oh, I should write that post, or I should write that book, or I should do that thing, but you don't do anything with it. So this is the week that like I really want you to balance out that kind of information and that taking that practical action, because it feels really important to where you're heading. It feels really important this week to like where you're going to be in a few months. The actions you take now, especially around, you know, like the seeds that you plant with the new moon, and the action you take this week of the 8th is really going to show up in the next 3 to 4 months and really start to like, you'll see the energy kind of coming to fruition. Okay, so there's that. I feel like that's a little esoteric, but that's just what's coming through for that. And then let's see, the week of the 15th, we have another huge full moon. So let's see. Okay. So this week we get movement, choices, and decisions. So let's see what I want to say for this one. Feels like there's lots of opportunities, lots of things coming everybody's way in relation to something else. You know, it's like your relationship to the world, your relationship to maybe your business, your relationship to other people. There's going to be a lot of movement and exciting things happening, and momentum and energy, and you're going to have to ground yourself, because it feels like once this eclipse energy opens up on the 19th with the full moon, I don't know why, but I get this thought that you're like being shown another life that can exist for you. Like maybe like you're getting a preview of like what you've been calling in, and you're like getting to see a snippet of it, and you're like, I want that. Like it's like such a choice point that you're gonna feel in your body, and it's gonna be this sense of like, I'm here but I want that, or I'm living this but I want to go there, I'm doing this but I need to go that way, what do I need to do to, it's like, it's almost like you're, oh my god, this is freaking crazy. It's almost like you've been driving your car in a certain direction, and all of a sudden there's somebody says to you, there's like this amazing view over there if you make a right turn, but you're gonna have to like do it quick. Like it's gonna like catch you by surprise, because it's like the person's saying it at the last minute, and so you have to make a split decision in a way. And it's like, you're, like I said, you're driving down this path. It's like if you go that way, you can catch like the most amazing sunset over the beach or something. And there's a part of you that's like, but I always drive down this path, and I know this path, and I already know where I'm going, and I just want to like get home or do what I need to do, or get to wherever you're going. But there might be a voice inside of you this week that's like, but maybe that's an answered prayer. Maybe that's the thing that I need to go do. So for some of you, you might go like, you know, switch directions. Because if you've been doing the work for the last 6 months, because we've been in the eclipse portal for like a year, and this is like I think this is the end of the eclipse, like this year long, started so wonderfully last year in November, I believe, in my freaking sign. And so I've seen so many changes this year, as a lot of you know. And but if you've been doing the work for the last 6 months, you're probably gonna have a good sense of trust, and you have come to a place, hopefully, where you when you hear that inner voice, that higher self, because it's not like, you know, when I'm saying it's somebody outside of you saying it, it might be, but it's really more of a internal knowing. It's like your soul saying, hey, let's go this way. And it may feel like a complete disruption to what you know, but it also feels like, in my body, like so exciting, and so like what you've been asking for so long, that you might be shocked that like it's right in front of you. And so when you get that choice point this week, and it might, for some of you it might be really small, and for some of you it might be really vast and big, what are you going to do? Are you going to say yes and trust your soul and see what that other view is like. And it's so weird because the way they're showing it to me too. Me and all my visions, I swear, is like you're standing in one dimension, and then like you can step to the right, and like there's this like moment in time where you can literally like step over, and then you step into another dimension, and then you're like, oh shit, I can't I can't unsee what I just saw. Like I can't go back to what I was doing before. Like I have to decide what I want to do, because this is so, it feels so real and so juicy and potent, and it's what you've been asking for. If you've been working on something for 6 months and you've been asking for something, this might just be like an answered prayer. You might just be like, where did this come from? Like, how did this even happen? So you get to make a choice, right? And life is full of choices. And this one will change your reality. It's going to change for some of you. It's if it's going to change for some of you. Sorry, I'm spitting this one out. Where you live, what you do, like maybe some of the people you associate with, just a lot of different things. It's just gonna change things. And so, but it's beautiful, and it could be a little overwhelming at the same time. So that's why maybe the week before you're really like kind of working on balancing out, trusting your intuition, taking action on it, so that when this point comes in this week of the full moon and this eclipse, you're kind of like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to choose this, because it's a vortex, you guys. Like it's a complete fucking doorway into another reality, which like even when I'm saying it, I'm like, wow. So how is that? I don't know how that's going to come in for each and every one of you. But if it were me, I I would say you already know. You already know, if you continue to make the same choices, how that's going to be, because the choices you made in the past are creating the reality that you're living right now. If you want a different reality, one that you've probably been asking for a while and focusing on, and then all of a sudden it's like right there, it might be like, oh my God, but why not say yes to it? Why not say yes to it and adjust as you go, learn as you go? That's why you have the Hierophant this month, because it's going to make you question everything. It's going to make you question reality, your beliefs, because you're going to be stepping into something and you're going to go, holy shit, like this is what I've been wanting, or I've been working towards, or there's something that's happening right now that feels really real. And yet, like, can I hold this? Can I do this? Can I be in this space and not lose myself? And yes, you can. Of course you can. That's, you've been working on that. That feels exciting, doesn't it? Okay, so that's for the weekend of the 15th. Oh, okay, so the 22nd. Let's see. Oh, this is my birthday week. Let me see. The week of this better be a good card for this one. I'm just teasing. And there's no good or bad cards. It's just, and I don't even channel like the direct meaning of these half the time. It's just like whatever comes up. So this is, oh my God, of course, the sacrifice card. Oh man, sweet, 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 sweet energy, right? Okay. So this gal, I don't know why I feel like showing you the visual. She's going from the muddy waters up into the light. She's getting to the rainbow, the lotus flower. I have the lotus flower tattooed on my back. Sometimes the waters may be murky. Going back to how I was saying earlier in the month, we're going to be jumping off a cliff and like going into our emotional bodies. Things are shifting quickly and rapidly. Things in the collective are going to be like a wild ride. And so there is going to be a theme this week of surrender. And coming off of the week before, where you're kind of in this space of like accepting in or saying yes to something, if you want to say yes, or you might say no to something, whatever. It's going to be different. It's whatever the big choice point or decision or thing that's kind of like showing up for you around that full moon eclipse time, in order to usher it in, it's going to require surrender. You are not going to be able to figure this one out from this linear mind of yours. No, no way, no how. You know why? Because that thing that just showed up in your reality is something that came from, like the future, if you will. And it came from a space of you calling it in and working, putting the energy out there for it. And you're not going to understand wholeheartedly like how to do it all. So my advice for you for this week is don't figure out the how. Surrender. Like trust in your heart, trust in the higher plan, trust in the way that life is being so divinely orchestrated for things to be freaking beautiful. And so this is a week of letting go in some ways of your need to control. And that I go back to the Hierophant, that wisdom card. Wisdom comes from, if you study the gene keys, I have this in my it's in my heart. It's my inner child, my SQ sphere, if you follow gene keys. And it goes from inadequacy to wisdom through resourcefulness or resourcefulness. So what does that mean? Well, one of the things Richard Rudd says that I absolutely love is we come to wisdom by sitting long enough in the darkness. Like, we don't always have the answers. Like, wisdom is something that emerges through you. Like, we are also resourced, right? We're so resourced. And yet, we still live our lives like we have to have like control of everything, and we need to know how everything's going to play out, and how's this going to be, and how's this going to work, and oh my God, and we go into like a panic, right? I'm here to share with you for this week. This is an opportunity to rewire how you live, to really live accordingly to divine will versus human will. And going back to the wisdom piece of this, which is the surrender aspect of it, is that you will find I think he uses this analogy of a well, and like you're put, the bucket down the well, and you keep going into the depths until you get the water, and it takes time for it to come up and to emerge, but then it's there, and you're resourced. And if you stay in that energy long enough, it becomes wisdom, right? Wisdom is an embodiment. So this just feels to me like in the surrender, you're going to learn something new about yourself. You're actually rewiring your nervous system's ability to show up differently in your life, to feel safe in not always knowing the how, to not always having to control everything. This card also feels kind of funny to me. I just got the funniest. Family. Like, a lot of you might be with family this week too, and you might, like, in a very practical way, also need to surrender. I don't know, like, I'm not going to be with my family, but if I was, I would be surrendering. And this is the work that we do. This is the sacrifice card. Like, what is the work that we have to do so that we can be divinely aligned with our higher truth and where we're heading? And this feeling of being willing to sit in the murkiness and not have full clarity until we do, and trusting the clarity will come. Some of the greatest things, like some of the stories that like my clients tell me, I have stories. Some of the most incredible things happen when we get out of the way. Our ego is like, I gotta know all the answers. I gotta know. No. Yeah, I mean, but do we ever really know, like, fully, like, what our lives are going to be? Like, we think we do, but there's always surprises, and there's always things, and really we just have to stay aligned with the vision. I mean, she's like, her hands are up to the heavens. Like, she's aligned with her vision. She's willing to stay in it's almost like she's in the light. She's attuning to the higher frequencies. She's trusting the divinity flowing her versus trusting her ego and being like, oh yeah, I'm in control of this all. So this week is just going to be, you may feel a little bit emotional. You may feel like you need to surrender. But you will be held in this. The resources will come, the clarity will start to arrive. And this is an opportunity for a lot of you to really step into a new way of being. Because divine will, I was actually just sharing this with a client earlier, is about our ability to first know our own sacred yes and no within ourselves, knowing what we want in our lives, what we are non-negotiable for, and then being willing to say, divine or God, universe, I want this or better. And letting divine bring into your life that which is the most highest aligned. Because your mind only knows so much based on your past. So don't try and figure everything out. Don't. And if you want to send me a happy birthday, it's on November 26th. I'm just kidding. I'd love to love a happy birthday message. Oh my God. That's a Sagittarius in me. It's so funny. I used to always throw, who does this? Okay, me. I always love throwing parties. I'm not going to do it this year, but just love a good party for Thanksgiving and my birthday. Anyways, enough about that. Okay, I'm just being silly. Okay, so we are going to go into the 29th, and there's only a couple days, so it's the 29th and 30th. So just kind of that last little kind of energy for the month that's going to close us out, because we are going to be, Neptune's going to move forward direct, and things are going to, so let's just see this last piece. So we got the throat chakra. So, which I saw earlier, the throat chakra for I think it's a Monday and a Tuesday for the end of this month. What identities and masks could you, and beliefs, can you release so that you can fully be enveloped in the energy of all the things that you learned in November? This feels like a wild month. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It feels like there's a lot happening. It feels really good, but it feels like there's still chaos playing out, and there might be some more surprises in the collective. And going back to the Hierophant and that card of wisdom, how can you, because if we're coming from the card I was telling you before, where we're starting to let the wisdom come through us, how can you start to express the wisdom? How can you start to integrate it? How can you start to show up in that? And what identities are you still adhering to, or mask, I should say, that don't allow you to be your truest self, that don't allow you to move forward with all the changes and all the things that are going to be coming up this month? And maybe it's letting go, I just got the thought, maybe it's letting go of illusion. There's a little bit of illusion, I think this is hard for me to say. I'm trying to find a way to say it. What we thought was going to be, right, in our lives, because as of that eclipse energy, it starts ushering you into a portal of new energy. So there's a part of you that's going to be oh my gosh, what's real? What's the illusion? What's real? So how do I kind of make space and room to receive the new? And so there might be some old belief systems. You might catch yourself when you're wrapping up this month, I want you to just do a final review of what belief systems are holding me back to the past, really rooting me and chaining me back to the past, when really I'm ready to move forward into my future and to embrace the new beginnings. And this feels like there's going to be so much depth of exploration this month within yourself. Sagittarius is the traveler. I love traveling. I have so much stuff, 3 or 4 things of Sagittarius in my chart. It's crazy. Sagittarius Sun, Moon, North Node. I think that's it. So 3. But they're the traveler within and without, right? So they want to travel around the world, go to faraway places so they can learn about themselves, but also within yourself, like being willing to explore yourself and going into the faraway places within you, which you're going to have looked at a lot, hopefully, with the Scorpio energy. And I talked earlier about the death and rebirth, and this just feels like the final wrap up. You know, if there's something that needs to be let go so that you can fully embrace where you're heading, this feels like it. So, anyways, what a month. I'm so excited. So we'll see. And I started doing weekly reports. So every Monday, I will kind of succinctly put together what I talked about, give a little extra information. I post that on my Instagram and Facebook. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And I hope you guys have an incredible, amazing November.